So one of the biggest challenges I hear from people when they're thinking about their content creation journey or debating on whether or not to get started is I just don't have any good ideas. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to post about. We're going to solve all that today in a very quick fashion. So, first and foremost, what you want to be focused on is also coming up with ways to capture ideas when you have them. So, we want to make sure that we are ready at all times to capture ideas. So, for me, it's on my phone. I've got both a Trello board and a Google Doc going for ideas, depending upon how long form it is, what it's about. I'll put it in either one. But I just want to make sure. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I recently just stopped my lawnmower, walked over to my porch, grabbed my phone, put a note in there about an idea that I had. And it turned out to be a post that got over 50,000 views, was one of my most highly viewed posts over the last couple of months. But I just had that idea, and you have to be able and willing to stop and be ready at all times. And so whether you want to use a physical notebook, an app on your phone, or a project management tool, just make sure that you've got something at the ready at any given moment. And how do we actually sit down? If we're going to be intentional and sit down and generate ideas, let's look at some ways that we can do this that are effective. So, first and foremost, most of your content ideas are going to come from the day to day of what you do. So, a meeting with a client, sit down right now, review your calendar for the last 30 days, look at client meetings, client conversations that you've had, and start to think about some of the questions that they asked you. What was some of the guidance that they gave or that you gave them? And really think about, then you can start to back into what are some of those more commonly asked questions? How do those topics relate to the niche that I'm speaking to and to the topics that I've defined as the problems that I solve? And now I can start to put together some notes here and expound on those a little bit and just pose those same exact questions that my clients have publicly and answer them. This is probably just at a more meta level. The best marketing you can do is to publicly answer the questions that your clients and prospects ask you consistently. So do the same thing as it relates to your prospect meetings. Review the calendar, look at those meetings. Think about now the objections that you get from those prospects. Now you can publicly overcome those objections. So if you frequently get a cost objection, hey, you guys are too expensive. Now I can create a post, a video, a FAQ page on my website, whatever it might be, that publicly overcomes this objection. And that's why I love video so much, is that we had videos watched for more than 64 hours last month on our company page. We've got a very small following. That's 64 hours of conversations that we couldn't have had last month with our team, and that we don't want to have necessarily. We want people to be able to consume that content at their own pace. So beyond this linked 30, start to think about other ways when it relates to content that you can create more. Now, if you have a team that's answering these questions for you, go to them, go to your ticketing system, however you capture these questions, and what are some of the recent questions that your clients have had? Once again, great opportunity. The same questions that they have, the same guidance that you give them are the things that you can give away publicly. Just because you give away a recipe does not mean people are still not going to come and have you cook it for them, right? So it's a completely different animal. This is where people get a little gummed up on these first few as they start worrying about, if I share this information publicly, why do they need me? Well, let's use that analogy again. If I give somebody a recipe, it does not mean that they can cook it nearly as well as I can, and they still have to do all the work. They still have to do, all the different facets of prep work, clean up, all that. That's why you go to a restaurant. So whatever you do, don't worry about giving away the recipes. Just worry about the fact that they're still going to want you to cook for them. And if they don't, that's fine. They're not a great client. Google reviews. So I'll review the comments for our company, look for common themes, and look for stories and ideas and things that will spark ideas for me. And I'll just sit down and document as we kind of peel back here for a layer. I'll just sit down and document these things on a Google Doc or on a whiteboard or on a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter. It just depends on the day and how I'm feeling, and just start to flesh out a whole bunch of fresh ideas here for the upcoming month's content. And then I'll put them into, the systems that I talked about before, the Trello for me, and Google Docs as far as tracking the information, and prepare for the upcoming week or month's content. So Don't just review the comments on your Google reviews, go to your competitors. So for us, we sell a SaaS product. I can go to G2 and I can look at what some of the complaints are around our competition, what some of the things people say that are great about it, what questions they have. And I can use that for inspiration when creating content as well. Now, I also love to just, as I'm reading a book and a concept resonates with me, then I love to just share about it and, kind of tie it back into what my area of expertise is. For example, I just finished 0 to 1, found a great component at the end of that book about hiring and how he thinks about building out sales teams, shared some thoughts related to that and tied it back into organizational culture, which is one of the key things that I like to talk about online that my audience expects from me. And do the same thing with a podcast. As I'm listening to a podcast, I oftentimes find myself pausing it, writing down into that Google Doc some ideas that I have that were relevant to what we do. And, once again, we're going to talk over and over again in this course about being ready to share similar thoughts a bunch of different ways. So this could give you unique spins as people are telling stories, as they're sharing ideas into how you can share that with your audience. Now, again, this might seem obvious, but go scan your marketing materials, go look at what the messaging is. What are the benefits that your company's selling? What are the, desired outcomes that you're sharing, and see what ideas that sparks as you start to think about some of these things in here for these post templates that we have, or for storytelling frameworks. Now, this should be able to get my wheels spinning a little bit. And once again, I don't have to just look at my marketing material. I might get more inspiration from some of my competitors' marketing material. And that's okay. Or people in other spaces that are completely irrelevant to what you do. Look at how their distribution and how they go about answering questions for their prospective clients publicly, and how you might be able to mimic some of that. You can also set up Google Alerts. If you just Google Alerts and how to set it up, you can set these up. So I've got some, for example, it will send you recent articles related to the keywords that you put in. So I think I've got employee engagement, workplace culture. I've got some related to our company, but these will just give me some articles that might, as I scan them and look at some of the thoughts and some of the things that people are putting out right now, give me some ideas on how to generate new content. And then obviously Google search. So if you search for a term, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and look at other things people searched for, and look at how, some of that might spark other ideas. And I can show you that and just get you comfortable with that here in just a moment. And then finally, your feed, hashtags, searching from a hashtag. So I have hashtag entrepreneurship is one of the ones I follow. So when I click on that and I start to scroll the top posts around entrepreneurship, I see what other thought leaders in the space are talking about, gives me inspiration on things that I may want to share that are relevant to the folks I'm speaking to. So let me just show you the Google search thing real quick. So I search organizational culture, and then when I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I see related searches. So things like this, and then I can play with this search term and I can start to say organizational culture examples. Interesting. So people are searching at a pretty high volume to understand, examples of great organizational culture. The 4 types, this is probably related to somebody's theory or book. So that's interesting. I now might want to write some form of contrarian post or something that, oh, hey, here's what I agree or disagree with about the 4 types of organizational culture. Organizational culture characteristics. Oh, great. Now here's this kind of wrote the subject line for me. Here are 4 organizational cultural characteristics that I see of great cultures. And I can write a post based on that. So you can see just all the opportunities that we have here to generate new ideas and content. And now another great thing you can do is just simply click on the little, when you're on somebody's post, if I click in these 3 buttons up here at the top, I can save for later. And I just love, whether it's just great content I want to come back and read, or it's something like this where I'm trying to generate ideas and maybe I'm somewhere where I can't fully flesh it out. I can do this from my phone and just save the content and engage with that later. So for your content calendar, just make sure that you've got a system in place for how frequently you're going to post. Are you going to post 1 time per week, month, day? Because it's a lot easier to batch task than to just do them every once in as a one-off thing. And you can use a bunch of different platforms, whether it be Buffer, Sprout Social, We've got one built into our existing CRM, so I don't go out, and we use Sprout Social for our marketing clients. So I use Sprout Social for our scheduling, but I just use mostly Google Docs for writing my posts and getting them prepared. That way I can accurately spell check them. I can make sure that they're ready to go. One of the things is you really don't want to click that edit button if you can help it, not to get too far off topic here, but those are some great ways of coming up with ideas to generate content. And, once again, right now we're focused on building that habit of posting every day. Put your name and face in front of people daily. These things compound. So if over 30 days, making sure that you're posting every day and that you're continuing to put your name and face in front of people, you're going to start to see your views go up, your engagement go up, because you're going to become a better writer and your audience is going to know more what to expect from you. So thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure that you check out Link 30 and make sure you're clicking on the hashtag and engaging with the posts of your fellow cohort members. Thanks.